We'll go on to these hydro meters that we mentioned. You want to go ahead and incorporate. When you bring these in, you're going to want to update them where needed or where available. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, and I do have a question. This is out of my own curiosity. When you have done your work in parcels in West Virginia counties, have you used the NHD data set, which is basically all the hydro that we actually have is the most up to date?
Yes, we've used that one, and we've come across a couple other sources that have been incorporated here and there. I believe other than NHD, am I thinking?
Yeah, actually, in these projects, we start with that, but keep in mind that a lot of in that regard, the sources of that, some of that are quad sheets, some of that are more photography interpreted, it's a lot of 2D work, it's not 3D work. A lot of it's based on products that were from 1963. The age of a quad sheet, you go in the area, last updated 1963. The hydro was clearly brought from that source. Things have changed a lot. Not only have things changed a lot, quad sheets are at best, anything you look at a quad sheet might be 50 foot out. It's 1 to 2,000 scale map based on them. So what we, and the other thing, Trey, I know, definitely, because your voice has got to hold out. One of the other things that happens on hydro is that hydro oftentimes are property lines. These are truly property lines, and when we rectify the tax maps against the NHD hydro, we realize right away we got a real problem. So then the fallback is the ortho and reinterpret the hydro, and we do a lot of that on these projects.
I brought in what they did for the Sanders up at WVU. They have that on the clearinghouse there. That's good stuff. Matches right up with the 2003 ordinance. I don't know if you guys use that or not, but
we use the CM data on hydro layers as well.
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And along the same lines, the recapture major hydro features, including upstairs, rivers. If you start a project and you do have new imagery, you got major rivers and things going through. It's a good idea to go ahead and update those boundaries at that time as well. I mean, those change over time. And miscellaneous layers to bring in, like I've said, the E911 center lines are a fantastic resource for locating things. Address points. If you have address points available, these can be very helpful. Mostly towards the end of the project, when you're doing your tax reconcile, address points can be very helpful for figuring out where problem parcels may fall. Older parcel data you may have, if you have older CAD data, if you have older shape files that have been compiled, whenever. You don't want to throw stuff out. It can be a valuable reference. So until you assess it, then don't throw it in the trash can just quite yet until you assess it. So what we typically do with those is during mapping, if we come to an area that's proving to be a really difficult area in locating things, then if older parcel data is out there, then we go to that and see, well, what was what here? And how does that make sense with what we're finding? So you don't want to throw that stuff out. All right, so you've got your right-of-way network built out, and you've got your flats that you've already placed. You found a relative X, Y, and where they belong. Then you start the COGO process. So you're going to COGO all these plats before you move on to a best fit. Typically, we shoot for and achieve around a 30% plus or minus parcel count for the county by COGO plat. So this provides us with a very good start with legal means and bounds.
Right? Please let some of the people present who may not be familiar with what COGO means.
It's your coordinate geometry. So when we say COGO, it means you've got a plat that has recently, well, not always recently, sometimes an older survey, but you have a property or properties that have been surveyed by a surveyor in the field, and they give you a bearing. This is 45 degrees north, 30 minutes, 32 seconds northwest, and 100 feet. And so this series of what's called beats and bounds, these directions and distances, is what you use for the geometry on piecing these together, just as the surveyor shot it in the field. So this is the legal boundary that has been submitted. You're recreating just in a digital environment from that plat. As you go through this process, you will sometimes adjust your right-of-way here. There may be times, now this is really going to be more towards plats that may show a unique right-of-way dedication, where we may, for some reason, a pump station or something's going in over here, and in this parcel there was an additional 10-foot right-of-way taken. That's where you would adjust the right-of-way to match the plat at this time.
Would you have an exception to railroad right-of-way of 300 feet?
I'm sorry?
Would you have an exception if railroad owns their right-of-way in feet? That means surface and mineral rights underneath. So if you adjust it, you can't adjust that right-of-way.
That's correct. We base it upon, typically railroad rights-of-ways are dealt with in the same manner the existing tax maps are. We don't dig into those, and I'll use the word literally dig. If you're talking third dimension, we don't dig into that level for tax map purposes at this point. Now Tyler did, he spent.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying, he's saying just right to the deed. The railroad is deed.
Well, the railroad right-of-ways are treated just like a tax parcel. Oftentimes, these have tax records. These are records. So they're going to be treated just like a regular tax parcel is going to be treated. So what I mean by if we've got a plat along Highway 50 out here, and this particular plat shows an additional right-of-way take, DOT has taken an additional 10 feet here for some purpose, that's the adjustment that I'm talking about here. And the other adjustment would be if you have a series, and this is really only going to apply to newer surveys if you have them in recent years, but sometimes you'll find a series of plats along a road right-of-way that may claim a 50-foot right-of-way, and the tax map is showing 40. And sometimes it's because the tax map right-of-way was not updated. This is a case-by-case basis. You don't go in and automatically change the right-of-way width just because you get one plat that claims it's 50 feet. But you do pay attention to the right-of-way widths listed on these plats along roads, because you may find ortho evidence of new construction if there's been an additional right-of-way here. And if you find enough evidence and enough little plats claiming the right-of-way width, then you would make that change from, say, 40 to 50 at that time.